Gabriel, I am so honored to have you here today. You have taken how many courses with us here at the Theology of the Body Institute?
Um, 3. I'm gonna do my 4th now. Thank you for having me, by the way.
Absolutely.
Everybody.
Gabriel is a very skilled sculptor, and he's going to be taking us through a presentation of some of his art today. You and I have had already some marvelous conversations diving into your approach to art, your appreciation of the human body. This is of great importance to us here at the Theology of the Body Institute to have a proper depiction of the beauty, the splendor, what John Paul II calls the gratuitous beauty of the human body in its masculinity and femininity. I don't know. I'm serious about this. I mean, I am not a sculptor. I have a great interest in sculpture, but I've never had the opportunity to speak with someone as skilled as you are in depicting that gratuitous beauty of the human body. And when you and I had that conversation, was it a month ago?
Yeah, maybe 2 months
Over
ago.
Zoom or something?
Call.
Yeah,
Zoom call.
And you were in Italy doing your thing.
Yep.
And I said, Gabriel, we got to get you on the channel. I want to expose our audience to your gift.
Yeah.
And here you are.
Yes, here I am. That's very kind. Appreciate it very much.
Before we jump into your art, I have 3 questions that I love to ask my guests. It's just a way of getting to know your heart a little bit.
Yeah.
So here we go. This is about sacramentality, like encounters with beauty in the world that have blessed you.
Right.
So can you tell us a song that has really blessed you, a song that has spoken deeply to your heart? What is the song and why?
Well, probably the gut response is probably the one to go with.
Give me the gut response. Yeah.
Well, it's not even a song I listen to often anymore, but the one that just popped in my head is actually one that Bill Donahue played in my first 2B course. This isn't meant to be a
plug.
It's not meant to be a plug at all. But I did the 2B in art, The Way of Beauty with him. I don't know, I think I was 17 for that actually. It was 10 years ago.
Wow.
I'm 27 now. I had to get special permission.
Oh, because you were under 18.
Under 18, yeah. But you knew my sister and my parents.
Yeah. Shout out to Tom and Mary and Tess. Love you very much. Thanks for all the work you've done supporting our mission over the years. Just wanted to give that shout out.
Yes. Shout outs. Hello. You guys are the best. So Bill Donahue played a song called Nani Nani.
Yes.
Right? Okay. And I don't know, I really like that one. It's also got a little bit of that Aslan is in the song, so it's a little bit of the Chronicles of Narnia.
I always thought it was Noni Noni. Am I wrong?
Noni Noni?
Not to be confused with Moni Moni. But not what? Who's the artist? I remember when I took that class. I remember
Chris something.
Can you look it up for us, Juan? Nani Nani or Noni Noni by Chris somebody. And what is it about this song that captured you?
Well, I liked the reference to the Chronicles of Narnia because I grew up with those and I really like those, and I'm excited to learn more about those soon.
Because you're here,
right? Yes,
for the Poets of the Kingdom course, which is about C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien.
I'm excited.
What's the song?
It's Italian. It's Nani Nani.
Nani Nani.
Grandma.
Yeah, and can you give us some of the lyrics?
Let's see.
River washes over me, up the wind and carry me away. It's a song I mentioned to answer the question, so I should know it. But every perfect now and then, I caught a glimpse of Aslan's mane. Right?
I have a different one.
Up in
you have the wrong one. Who is it? Chris
Nonny. Nonny.
Yeah, I think it might be like a lullaby.
I mean, I can look it on my phone if you need to.
Yeah,
it's very casual. This is a very casual.
Yeah, of course it is. We're just chatting away. So, what have you had? What did you bring up there, Juan?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lullaby. Hey, Nani Nani.
Oh, that's not.
No, that's not it.
Yeah,
by Chris what? Chris
Rice.
Maybe? Chris Rice. Yes,
there it is. Chris Rice. Yeah, Nani.
Give us some of the lyrics if you've brought it up.
Yeah, I brought it up, but I don't have any Wi-Fi. So.
Oh, all right, Juan. Come to the rescue.
River washes over me, up for air and carry me away. Nani Nani, Odele.
Yeah.
Run the earth and watch the sky, praying hard and waiting for the day. Noni Nani Odali.
There's just like some beautiful water sounds in the song, and
Mhm.
he's got a lovely acoustic guitar and a soothing way of singing. And I like the part he mentions Aslan.
Yeah, that's a key verse. My
Yeah.
adolescent 70s reads just like the Pevensey children.
Right.
Yeah.
Adventures. Because every perfect now and then I caught a glimpse of Aslan's mane, and I longed for his treasure. Something in his mystery was drawing me to love the author of my own biography.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
So it
Like
sounds
the
to me-
mystery drawing you in, and he's the author. I don't know.
So it sounds to me like you caught a glimpse of Aslan's mane through
Yes.
this very song.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell us about a movie in which you've caught a glimpse of Aslan's mane.
Well, I guess Narnia would be obvious, but
That's-
actually, I mean, it's a fine movie, but
Yep.
it's probably not the one I would go with. I feel like I'm just really self-referring to the Poets of the Kingdom course, because I mean, if people ask me my favorite movie, normally I'd always say Lord of the Rings.
Mhm.
And I mean, the Poets of the Kingdom course is just made for me. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm extremely excited. But yeah, Lord of the Rings is one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite. And
How old were you when you first saw Lord of the Rings?
I don't know. I mean, before, like, younger than 10 for sure. I mean, we weren't ever
Did you
allowed
see
to
it in the
watch-
theater?
No.
No.
We weren't ever allowed to watch like scary movies, like anything remotely approaching scary or gore, except
Right.
for Lord of the Rings, which is somehow fine, even though there's orcs and people getting decapitated and all this like
Well, the
stuff.
gore for gore's sake
Yeah.
is a horror movie.
Yeah.
But gore in the context of the spiritual battle, you need to depict spiritual realities physically so that you can see them in a
Mhm.
movie, right? So the orcs are just the kind of symbol in this fantastical world
Mhm.
of demons and evil, and
Yeah.
so that needs to be depicted. It's not gore for gore's sake. It's
Yeah.
a making visible the invisible horrors of evil, but
Right.
in the context of the battle between good and evil, and we
Yeah.
know who wins, right?
Yeah.
So there's a purpose to that. So it's not just horror for horror's sake.
Yeah. And honestly, if you didn't have it, it wouldn't drive the point home.
That's right.
Like you have to marry the visual, physical material with the spiritual. And so if orcs are meant to represent this spiritual evil, they have to be, that has to come through.
And it does
physically.
brilliantly
Yeah.
with Tolkien. So
Yeah.
we talked about a song, we talked about a movie. I always love to ask my guests also a place in God's creation where you feel heaven wooing you.
I'll just go with a kind of an obvious one, Assisi. You know, it's people's favorites for a reason.
You live in Italy.
I live in Italy.
How far are you from Assisi?
2 hours, I think.
So do you make it there a good bit?
Maybe like once a year, take a trip down there.
And do you remember your first time
Yes,
to
I do,
Assisi?
for
And
sure.
this is what you're thinking
There's
of?
what I'm
when you-
thinking of.
okay,
The
share
first
that.
time is the time that I'm
Yeah.
thinking of. If there was to be like a one time, I was studying abroad in Italy when I was like in college, so like 20 years old, and it was just this was like a quick trip, like 3 weeks, and we went to Assisi just for a day, but we were there for the sunset, and I had made my way up the hill. So like Assisi is this like town that's basically slapped on the side of the hill. You know, there's an incline here, and there's a town, and then everything is like everything's up or down. There's no flat
I
areas.
know it well.
But you can go up to the top of that hill, and you get a really, really beautiful view. It's over the rolling Tuscan hills.
Yeah, I was just there last September.
Okay.
I know right where you're speaking.
Yeah, yeah. There's a little fortress behind you.
Mhm.
So yeah, up there, I was just like alone, and I saw the sunset, and I mean, it's hard to get better, as cliche as it is. It's hard to get better than a beautiful red sunset over the rolling Tuscan hills in Assisi. Like, it's picturesque for a reason. Yeah. And it was beautiful. It was just striking.
You can't be an artist and not be sensitive to beauty all around you.
Yeah.
So take us on the journey. You're 27 years old now, but you are already, wait till you see, everybody, the art that this man produces. You're already very skilled in your craft. When did you start? When did you say, I want to be a sculptor? I don't even, I could count on one hand the number of sculptors I've ever met.
Yeah.
And how do you grow up saying that's what I want to do?
Yeah. I mean, the sort of base answer, before you get to like specific circumstances of life, like the low down answer is like, I was just always really drawn to art in all forms, or most forms, as a child, mostly painting at first.
Do you remember seeing a certain painting where it just...
Yeah, actually, so my mom tells this story of me when I was like 7 or something. I don't remember it. We were in the Chicago Art Institute, and we were looking at the Monet paintings. I would say Monet and Van Gogh in tandem were my first favorite artists. Like, when you get to an age where you sort of like understand that there's such a thing as art and there's such a thing as artists, like, because sometimes you like before you get to that point, it's just like stuff. But you realize, okay, there's a guy who did this and he's got other work that have a coherence within the body of itself. Anyway, so Monet and Van Gogh were really huge inspirations at the beginning. But my mom says that we were in the Chicago Art Institute and I like reached out and I touched a Monet painting, like as a 7-year-old. And she freaked out, obviously. She's like, get back here. Pulls me away from the painting, looks around. No one saw. We didn't get in trouble. We kept walking around. She was terrified we were going to get kicked out. But I like to say that some of the power
I love it.
from the Monet painting, like, went through the painting into my finger, and then
I love that you had to touch it.
Yeah.
You're 7 years old, you're encountering beauty. And as C.S. Lewis says, it's not enough just to behold beauty. We want to enter into it, and we want the beauty to enter into us.
Yeah.
And for you as a 7-year-old, obviously you're 7, you don't know the rules of a museum.
Yeah.
But you have to reach out and touch it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I still get that urge now.
Yeah.
It's just social norms, you know, they prevent you from doing these things.
It reminds me of the story of Therese when she was on a pilgrimage to Rome as a girl. And she said, it was not enough for me to be in the Colosseum. I had to jump the barrier and go down, even though I was told I wasn't allowed. I had to jump the barrier and go down and stand where the martyrs shed their blood. I had to reach out and touch the artifacts. She said she saw these, I think it was the crown of thorns or something, or maybe the nails from the crucifixion. And she was able to stick her finger through like a crevice in the display case and actually touch it. Like, that's that spontaneous yearning. I can't just lay my eyes on it. I need to touch it. I need to participate in it. It speaks to our incarnational reality as human beings. And this is part and parcel of who you are as a sculptor. Yeah. You are working with your hands. You are touching earth's clay to, in the image of God, bring beauty out of the clay. How do you go from a 7-year-old boy reaching out to touch Monet to, I want to be a sculptor?
Yeah. So, I mean, I took high school art classes all throughout high school. And then when deciding to go to college, I had to figure out what to major in through a series of events, convincing my parents that it's a viable career path, being one of them. I eventually decided to go to college. So I went to an art school in Indianapolis, and I majored in painting. So I did 4 years in painting. I took sculpture classes at that school as well, but they were not the particular style and mode of expression that I was looking for. So now I do like very highly realistic academic figurative sculpture. So of the body in a mode that's meant to represent what it's representing, I guess. Yeah. So at a modern art school, you don't get that kind of thing so much.
What do you get at a modern art school?
Well, I mean, it can be a lot of things. I liked my alma mater, obviously, and I learned a lot there, but I was basically allowed to use any kind of material to make sculptures except for clay, and you were allowed to do any subject except for the figure. Like, it was...
Why except for clay? And when you say the figure, you're talking the human form.
Body, yeah. I still don't really understand. It's a different mentality that the modern and postmodern mindset has on art, and they don't see the point in pursuing representationalism. Maybe in some ways, yes. In certain schools, yes. It's not trying to make any sweeping generalizations, but they put a lot more emphasis on concept and sort of like meaning, which are very important things. But they don't put enough, for me, for my taste, for my opinion, they don't put enough emphasis on craftsmanship and just like the boring aspect of, it's not even boring, it's fascinating to me, but like the non-heady, physical, tangible part of like doing something well. And in terms of the figure, I don't know, they said it's his dad. It's
what? They're saying the human form and depicting the human form in art is.
I'll move away from this school for now, but in general, like postmodern, from what I have understood, most postmodern art theory wants to move away from the past and tradition, and supersede that with a sense of individual creation. I mean, there's a lot of parallels to other philosophies going on in the 20th century that you could probably think of.
Yeah, well, the art of a culture is a reflection of what's going on in the heart.
Yeah, for sure.
Because art expresses.
It's impossible to have those things not be together.
Correct.
The philosophy of the 20th century was crumbling, and the art crumbled as well. So I think the figure, for one, it just represents to certain people like this history, history that people don't so much like.
So would you say you're of a school that is trying to reclaim, how would you say it, a more traditional approach to art or classical approach to art? What's your vocabulary there?
Yeah, those words are great. I work within a tradition that has mostly been unbroken. I mean, you get to the 20th century and the line, like the lineage of master to apprentice throughout the hundreds of years that there was such an unbroken chain of tradition. You get to a point where the chain does start to break down. So nowadays we sort of have to look at the past, look at the sculptures and the paintings of the past and try our best to understand how they did it. We have some books and treatises on technique and philosophy that went into how, say, the Renaissance masters did art, the Baroque masters did art, the 19th century French academic. That's like a big period. The French academic guys who were like doing the salon, if you know anything about that.
No, I don't.
Yeah. So like in Paris in the 19th century, they were getting to a kind of a peak in terms of technical craftsmanship in expressing the figure realistically and emotively and with meaning as well, and like all of the facets that you might think of that go into making a beautiful work of art. It's not just technical. There's also the concept and the meaning at play. They were doing really good with that, And in terms of the technical ability to like sculpt super well, like I'm thinking of Carpeaux, for example. He's an artist. Big inspiration for me now. He was a French sculptor in the 19th century. Extremely good. That'd be cool to look at, honestly.
Do you have some Carpeaux to bring up for us?
We could.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's amazing. I mean, let me see if I can.
So this is one of your main inspirations?
I would say now, yeah. I mean, like it started with Monet and Van Gogh, and then we moved to Rodin, and then we moved to Michelangelo, and then Bernini, and then I learned about Carpeaux, and sort of like as you get further into this world, you
when did Carpeaux live?
19th century. I don't know what years. Yeah, so 1800s, somewhere in there. I mean, the 1920s, early 20th century is when the philosophy starts to break down big time, and maybe late 1800s. This is not my field. I'm a sculptor. Yeah. I mean, I dabble in philosophy and history to like the smallest degree. I listen to some podcasts, and that's kind of where I get my my information. I might read half a book here and there. Mainly, I spend my time in the studio, sculpting. So, anyways, Juan, I can airdrop this one to you.
Okay. It's not on the ones you.
No, it's a new one. Yeah.
Gotcha.
There we go. Airdrop to Juan. Okay, this is an amazing sculpture. You're gonna freak out.
Can you spin that screen around,
Right.
Juan, so I can see it?
So Ugolino and His Sons is the name of the sculpture I'm about to show you. It's marble carving. It's by Carpeau. It was a 19th century French sculptor.
My. What are we looking at here?
Yeah. So it's life size. It's big. This is in the Met in New York. And yeah, just take it in for a second. I'll tell you about it whenever you want. So this is the kind of level that we get to in terms of art history and tradition.
Uh-huh.
You build over time. And this is the level that we got to in terms of technical craftsmanship, emotive expression, beautiful narrative. The story behind this is really fascinating. And it's just like everything, you know. There's multi-figures, there's different ages, they have different body types, and they're all just rendered to perfection.
I'll tell you what is striking me immediately is this guy's expression looking upward at the main figure, this guy on my left here.
Yeah.
And then this young boy down in the right-hand corner who's sleeping or dead or what's going on here? Tell me what we're looking at.
Yeah, so this is the story of Ugolino and His Sons. It is taken from the Divine Comedy.
Uh-huh.
So Dante wrote about this,
Yep.
but it was a real story. It's a true story that happened in Tuscany, and Dante wrote it into the Divine Comedy. So there was a count of some small fiefdom, something like this, like little region somewhere in Tuscany.
I'm recalling something of this from my reading some years ago of the Divine Comedy, but you're bringing it back to mind.
So Ugolino was a count, and he was a bad ruler and not a just ruler. And so basically there was an uprising. The people in the city, kingdom, whatever you want to say, they had an uprising, and they overthrew him, and they took him and his family, his sons, him and his sons. They trapped them in a tower, put them on top of a tower, and left him there to die. Didn't bring him any food. So total coup.
Mercy.
Put you up there and left him to die. And so in the Divine Comedy, what Dante recounts and what this sculpture really depicts is the moment where they're in the tower and his sons are crying out to their father, "Father, Father, we're starving. Will you please eat us?"
Oh,
because they don't want to continue on with that agony, and he's starving too. And so they're pleading with him to eat them.
We want you to
eat
live.
us. Yes. His sons say that to him. It's very inverted.
We'll sacrifice.
Yeah.
lives.
Ourselves. Sorry.
We're good.
Yeah. Yeah. Very inverted. Very weird.
Yeah.
I mean,
And what does Dante have to say about this? I'm not recalling.
I don't know. I only know the story through the sculpture. I've never read the Divine Comedy myself. I just know a little bit about it here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But the real turmoil, if you look at Ugolino's face right there, is the moment of struggle with the decision, you know?
Oh, gosh. That close-up where you see his mouth, that gives it a whole new... I didn't see that look, the expression through his mouth.
Yeah.
And it almost looks like he's biting on that one finger.
Yeah.
So Carpeau, his realism inspires you? Is that what captures you?
I mean, for me, the piece is well-rounded in every aspect. There's a technique. The technique is impeccable. The realism is amazing. The way that it's done. But also the story is very compelling, and the expressions support the narrative. You know, like it's a successful piece because what it's about, you can read it through the work, like the story tells itself with the piece. I don't know, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Yeah. The piece supports what it means, you know?
So take us from here to one of your works.
Yeah, sure. Well, we can keep on the slightly gruesome aspect of things.
Okay.
So Juan, if you want to pull up the first slide of the headless man.
So you and I talked about this when we did that Zoom call, and
Yeah.
you were just kind of scanning through some of your works. I said, whoa, what is the story here of this guy, this guy holding his own head? Please explain for our viewers here.
Yeah. So this is one of my sculptures. It's a life-size figure sculpture. It's made of clay.
So what, about 6 feet tall? Like if he had his head on the top?
Maybe 5'10" if he had his head on.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the head's gone, so the sculpture stands something like 5'2" or something.
Mm-hmm.
You put it on a pedestal, you can get it up there. It's
Right.
all good. So yeah, this is one of my pieces. I decided to make this sculpture because I really love this story. So I live in Florence. I've lived in Florence for 4 years, and I really love it there. And in Florence, one of the oldest churches in the city is the church called San Miniato al Monte, which is San Miniato in English is like Saint Minius, but I just call him San Miniato because
Because you live in Italy.
Because I live in Italy and that's his name. So
Right.
San Miniato al Monte is San Miniato at the on the mountain, and that's where the church is. It's on a hill just outside the city. And the story for the namesake of the church, San Miniato, it's really fascinating. I really like it. It's a mix between history and legend, oral tradition and written tradition. It has a flavor of myth, and it has a flavor of realism.
Mm-hmm.
And for believing folks like ourselves, I'm inclined to believe what happened. I have many people I tell the story to, and they try to they take it with a bit of more of a
Right.
where they take it with
and
a
the story is
So the story is this. San Miniato is probably from Armenia. He lived in like the year 250 AD in Florence, which was then like a Roman city. And while living in pagan Roman times as an outspoken Christian, it's usually not going to end well for you, typically. So he had the honor of martyrdom, just like many other people in that time period, in that time place.
and how'd they kill him?
So they tried it a couple times. They tried to burn him. They tried to throw him to the lion's den. They have all these ways. They never work. And so eventually they decided to cut his head off. So what happens is they cut his head off. And in response, San Miniato, he bends over and he picks his head up, as you do. And he walks with his head from the center of the city uphill to just outside the city, where he had a hermitage. He was living as a hermit on top of this hill, and there he dies. So he walks with his head uphill to his hermitage and dies there. And now on that very same plot of land is the church of San Miniato al Monte, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous medieval Romanesque style church. I like that story because I don't know, I'm quite fascinated with eternal life and resurrection. Being a mortal human with cosmic shame, we have that fear of death, and
yes.
so it's kind of interesting to think about, resurrection, eternal life. I think that this story is cool because, like, even in a comic way, the thing that's supposed to happen after you get your head cut off doesn't happen. Like, usually you get your head cut off, you die.
Yes, attached head is rather important to life.
Yeah, and here it doesn't happen. Like, he doesn't die right away, and I just think that's like God is in charge. God decides when things happen. You don't decide when things happen. And even if you get your head cut off and he's like not done with you, you're gonna keep walking around.
Something
and it's
like
very
about
hopeful.
This story, even suppose it's a legend. Suppose it didn't really happen this way, but even if it didn't, the fact that this story is still told today is making a point.
Yeah.
And what I see is, like, I got to get back. They just cut my head off, but I'm not going to die until I go back to the place where I learned not to fear death.
Yeah.
In my monastic life.
Yeah.
Where I gave myself entirely to the one who called himself the resurrection and the life. That alone, like it's that boldness. Like, I'm not afraid of you cutting my head off.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm not afraid of cutting my head off is because I discovered who I really am and who made me, who he really is, and that he's the resurrection and the life. And I'm marching right back up there with my head to be at peace where I found my peace.
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah. And I really like that it's a hill that he has to walk up. Like symbolically speaking, I think that's very powerful because like, this is how I think of it. Like in the moment where the sculpture exists now, the head's off. And so he's already done the martyrdom. He's already done it. Like he's got his head cut off already. Like his journey on this plane is coming to an end. And for me, the ascent up the hill acts sort of like as a symbolic parallel to, you know, his ascent into heaven. And so in the piece, I tried my best. It's always an attempt, but I tried my best to put a little something in the portrait and the expression of the eyes and the face to hint at him looking up, looking up into the light, into the sky, you know,
brilliant,
the heavens.
Look at the veins on his right arm there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of irony. I like irony sometimes in pieces, you know, because like, so the veins are functional on a symbolic level, as well as just looking cool,
right?
You know, like the thing. I wanted my sculptures to look cool, but I also want them to function. So the blood rushing through the veins at such a degree, it tells you that he's alive, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
of course. The point is that he's alive.
Sure.
The expression, like I couldn't have him looking as though he was dead.
Right.
The expression needs to be awake. There needs to be a connection with the body still. I mean, even like, this is just something for me, I guess, but his mouth is open and it's like he's panting, like when you walk uphill, you pant. But the irony there is that, well, his neck isn't connected to his lungs. So how is he panting? But even still, like I like that irony, and I like those tells that this is a living person.
Yes.
And that he's not dead.
And he's looking towards the heavens. I love that.
He's looking towards the heavens and the ascent up, like he has to be uphill, you know.
So where is this housed right now? This is a almost 6-foot sculpture. You know, it's not like you have it in your closet.
Yeah, no. So the way that sculpture works is you know, most people don't know this unless you're sort of intimately connected to the process.
Right.
So to make a sculpture, you make it in clay first, typically. You know, you can be working in stone, that's a different story. How I do this, I make it in clay, and then you have to make a mold, which is a combination of silicone that goes all over the clay, which captures the detail. And then on top of that is a hard shell, call it a mother mold, usually made of plaster. So it's a hard, thick shell. So the silicone's floppy, so you need the mother mold to retain the big shape, but the silicone is detailed enough that it captures, you know, everything that you need. So what happens then is you take the mold off and then you discard the clay. Clay is not a sustainable material. Like it dries out, it becomes dust, it crumbles. You can't just put it somewhere to be displayed. Now you could fire it like a ceramics, it becomes terracotta. But the way I do it is I have a metal armature underneath the clay that holds up.
What are we looking at here? Is this the clay?
This is the clay, yeah. So you see the bars on either side?
Yes.
That's the armature. And inside that is a skeleton. It's a metal skeleton made of aluminum wire. And that's the substructure upon which you put the clay and make your piece. So you couldn't put that in a kiln. Plus it's 6 feet tall. Like there's no kiln big enough. The metal inside would explode and wouldn't be good. So anyways, what I do is I make a mold. I take it off. You discard the clay.
So is this discarded? What we're looking
this doesn't
this
exist
does not
anymore.
Exist anymore.
Yeah,
That's
correct.
sad to me. Isn't that kind of
it's sad to me too. Yeah, it's always a little bit of a pain, you know. But I like to say like what dies in clay is reborn in bronze, because you take that mold and then you cast it in.
Has this been
material.
casted?
No, it hasn't been cast yet. I only finished this like 3 weeks ago. This is my most recent.
Wow.
This is my most recent piece. Totally personal project. I just liked the story. I came up with a design, a pose. I hired a model, and I work from live models. And so we went ahead and pushed the project forward. But yeah, it doesn't exist yet anymore. It exists in a negative.
Right.
So this is a positive.
This is the positive. You have the
You have a
mold, so
mold,
it
which is
could
a
be turned
negative.
into bronze, but that needs to be sponsored, or 'cause
Yeah.
that's not a cheap thing to do.
No, the bronze for this would be something like 15,000 euro, so like maybe $18,000
Right.
to pay. That's probably at least, could be more depending on where you're at. I mean, Florence is a pretty good bronze prices. Yeah, it's funny in Italy, like marble and bronze are cheap and wood is expensive.
Huh.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of wood. They have more marble than they have
Interesting.
like wood. It's not more expensive, obviously, but comparatively to what we have here. So.
You said a moment ago, and this is of particular interest for us here at the Theology of the Body Institute, you are working with live models.
Yeah.
Male and female.
Yep.
In the nude.
Yep.
So there are a lot of viewers out there who are probably thinking, oh, how do I even see a nude in the right way? Like, we are so pornified in our understanding of the human body. Dear God, have mercy on us. We can't even imagine a pure way of seeing the human body. And it's not like any of us can claim we don't have the pool of a disordered desire in us towards the naked body. So how do you, as a 27-year-old man, how do you dispose yourself, open your heart to seeing the human body in a right way, in a pure way? Take us through that.
Well, so prayer is important. I mean, this teaching, the theology of the body, has been pretty life-changing for me. I think for most people who encounter it and in an honest way, they find that to be so. And what I've been able to learn and internalize from the teachings of JP2 in the meaning of the human body, what it represents, why we ought to respect it, the fact that it expresses a person, and it's not an object. It's very important.
The body expresses the person. And if we have eyes to see the body expressing the person, then we're not encountering an object in the body for my titillation.
Yeah.
We're encountering a person made in the image and likeness of God. And that takes us to a different place in the human heart, where we can learn through an inner journey, as you said, a pilgrimage of purification. We can learn to see the body as the revelation of the dignity of the person. One of the ways I say it to my students is that even in the fallen world, the face has retained the ability to reveal the person. And I say, in the beginning, before sin entered the world, when they were naked without shame, it was as if the whole body were a face. The whole body had the capacity to reveal the person.
Right.
And I remember one student years ago said, he misunderstood what I was saying.
Yeah.
I saw him going, what? He said, Christopher, what are you saying? It's like, in the beginning, they were just like Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. Like the whole body was a face.
Yeah.
No. I'm saying what the face can still do, reveal the person.
Yeah.
The whole body.
Yeah, wow.
In the beginning, revealed the person.
It's amazing.
Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God.
Yeah.
And if we go on that pilgrimage, it is truly possible. JP2 is saying this in his Theology of the Body. It is truly possible. I'll just quote him. In the Sermon on the Mount, when Jesus says, if you even look lustfully, you've already committed adultery in your heart. JP2 says, this is an invitation to a pure way of looking at the human body, capable of respecting what he calls the spousal meaning of the body. And that means that in our very bodies as male and female, we see this call to a spousal communion, right? A man's body doesn't make sense by itself. Woman's body doesn't make sense by itself. Seen in light of each other, with purity of heart, we recognize there is a call to holy communion here. A holy communion that God designed specifically to reveal in the world, to make visible in the world, the mystery hidden within the Godhead for all eternity. which is the mystery of life-giving communion. Life-giving communion. For all eternity, the Father is generating the Son. Not in a sexual way, because the Trinity in itself is not sexual. The Trinity is pure spirit. But within the Trinity, from all eternity, the Father is generating the Son to share in the love of the Holy Spirit. And JP2 says it's as if the Trinity is having a conversation amongst themselves when they say, let's make a creature in our image. Male and female, he created them, and he blessed them, and he said, generate, be fertile. Human generation, sexual generation, the union of the two in one flesh, the call to be fruitful and multiply, becomes, in this biblical vision, a making visible of the invisible mystery of generation within the Trinity, a making visible in the body, male and female, the two become one flesh, be fruitful and multiply. This is a sign, a sacramental sign, John Paul II says, of the mystery hidden in God for all eternity. And why I love to talk to artists. I'm not a sculptor, I'm not a painter, I am a something of a musician, but the way I approach theology is very much in the frame of an artist, not so much an intellectual, but an artist, because there's what I'm trying to do with words, you're trying to do with sculptor, and as a sculptor, and what I'm doing with words is I'm trying to make what is invisible visible. I'm trying to make what is incommunicable communicable. Art does the very same thing. So there's this profound connection between the gospel and art.
Yeah.
Because both are, and it ties all back to theology of the body, art, theology, the body, all have the same goal, which is to make visible and communicable what is invisible and incommunicable.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's kind of one of the interesting ironies about figure sculpture is that it's true that the body reveals the person, and we, as we are, like me, myself, as an actual human, not a sculpture of a person, I have a soul and I have a body, and it's the same.
You are a union of the two.
Yeah, but with sculpture, it's like what I'm trying to do is make clay appear in such a way that a person kind of does shine through.
Yes,
because the danger that you can fall into is to make the body an object.
There it is.
And it's very easy because the sculpture is actually an object.
Yes. This is good. This is good.
And it's very dangerous, and it's very easy to fall into that.
JP2 says, just what you said. You said it very, very well. Your goal as an artist, in shaping out of clay, the human body in its nakedness. Your goal is, how did you say it?
To try to make the person shine through.
Boom. To reveal the person.
Yeah.
And this is precisely, in JP2's own language, the difference between a pornographic portrayal of the human body and an appropriate artistic portrayal of the human body. One, just as you said, is trying to reveal through the painting or the sculpture the person, the deeper reality, to enable the dignity of being human to shine forth. Whereas the goal of a pornographer is to portray the body in such a way as to make it an object for someone else's titillation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you I always make this as my point. I've been in Rome many times. I was just there a week ago. And you can't tour St. Peter's Basilica or the Vatican Museum or the Sistine Chapel and conclude that it's immoral to show the naked human form.
Yeah.
Right? There are more bare breasts in St. Peter's Basilica than you can shake a stick at.
Yeah.
Some of the sculptures I'm talking about. There's also a dress code to enter St. Peter's Basilica.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not a contradiction.
Yeah.
Right? What the Vatican is saying, what the church is saying, what Catholicism is saying is the body properly understood, properly portrayed, properly depicted in art, and properly seen with the human eye is the revelation of a divine mystery.
Yeah.
It was just in morning prayer a couple days ago, so it's fresh in my mind, the reading where Jesus says, if your eye is sound, it's a big if, but if your eye is sound, your whole body will be filled with light.
Mhm.
But if your eye is not sound, your whole body will be in darkness.
Mhm.
And if your body is in darkness, how dark will that darkness be?
Yeah.
I don't know that there is a more accurate statement of diagnosis of the crisis in the modern world than that.
Yeah.
Our eyes have been trained by a pornographic mindset, and so our eyes are not sound.
Yeah.
And so our body remains in darkness.
Yeah.
So one of the gifts of good art, how do we overcome evil?
Yeah.
We overcome evil with good. And the problem with pornography is not that it shows the naked body.
Yeah.
The Sistine Chapel shows the naked body. The countless sculptures in St. Peter's show the naked body. The problem with pornography is the manner in which it shows the naked body. The naked body is being depicted by people whose eyes are not sound, and they are depicting it precisely to foster this unsound approach to the body. What many Christians don't seem to understand is that there is true power flowing from the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ to make our eyes sound. Right? How could Christ possibly call us to have sound eyes if he's not going to give us the power to have sound eyes?
Mhm.
And so the Catechism says, and I'm often criticized for saying things like this by those who don't believe this is possible. So I just say, well, look what the Catechism says. And because people will say, okay, that's maybe for the eschaton at the resurrection of the body, we'll all have the eyes to be able to see the human body rightly, but not in this world. And I say, okay, there's a certain truth there, because in this world, there's always going to be some tension. I don't care if you're Mother Teresa or John Paul II, there's going to be a tension in the human heart between an appropriate way of seeing and an inappropriate way of seeing. And the theological tradition calls this the wrestling with concupiscence, a disordering of our desires. There's always going to be that tension. But as JP2 says over and over and over and over again, there is real power flowing from the death and resurrection to enable us to overcome the pool of concupiscence and come more and more, I quoted this earlier, I'll say it again, to come to appreciate the gratuitous beauty of the human body in its masculinity and femininity.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I said that on camera or if that was before we started rolling.
I think it was on camera.
It was on camera? Yeah, the gratuitous beauty.
Yeah, I like that word, and that the usage of that word in that sentence is a little shocking to me, because gratuitous, I think, usually.
Yeah, no, gratuitous here means just like a super abundant. Well, gratuity is a graciousness, right?
Okay.
I don't need to give this to you. There's no necessity for it.
Okay, gratuity. Yeah.
A gratuity,
Sure.
gratuitous means we usually think of gratuitous violence or something like that, and that means it's not needed. And when JP2 describes the human body, the beauty of the human body as gratuitous, is he saying there's no reason for that beauty other than beauty?
Yeah.
There's no purpose for that beauty other than the appreciation of beauty. And I'm utterly convinced that the enemy's goal in giving us this diabolic, twisted, pornographic vision of the body, his goal is one, to blind us, to enable us to behold the gratuitous beauty of the body in such a way that it lifts our sights to the heavens. And there's this marvelous line in the Old Testament. It's the scene, I forget from which book in the Old Testament, where these old men encounter Susanna, who's taking a bath in the gardens, and they're filled with lust, and they want to have their way with her. And there's this one line that could seem like you kind of throw it away, but no, it describes the whole thing. It says they refused to lift their eyes to the heavens. That's what lust is.
Yeah, I see.
Where we look at the body as something merely of the earth and for my selfish gratification.
Yeah.
If they had allowed Susanna's beauty to lift their eyes to the heavens, they never would have treated her as a thing for their own gratification. And what I love about what you're doing, Gabriel, and your name, by the way, is I mean, I'm into names. Like names have profound meaning.
Yeah.
Right. This is why I purposely go by Christopher, because I mean, my family never called me Chris, but beyond that, there's a meaning to a name, and I am called to be a Christ bearer. That's what Christopher means, right? Well, how did Mary become a Christ bearer? An angel, Gabriel, comes to her and says, your body is going to make visible the invisible mystery hidden in God for all eternity.
Yeah.
Your body is now going to generate the second person of the Trinity that the Father has been generating for all eternity. Now in the fullness of time, the eternal generation of the Son is going to be revealed through your female body. A male child born of a woman. It's always male and female together that reveal the mystery of the gospel. And this is why I love what you're doing, Gabriel. Love the name. You are incarnating. That was the message of Gabriel, the incarnation. You are incarnating the body in such a way as to lift our eyes to the heavens. That's what you're doing.
That's the goal. Yeah.
And I say, thank you.
Yeah.
This is the antidote to the pornographic vision of the body.
That is something I think we should really nail in on, actually.
Yeah, let's go for it. Share our work of art where you can say, yeah, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to lift our eyes to that.
I was going to actually bring up the one in the Vatican because you mentioned it earlier. But if I could say a note before that, like just, I don't know, it's just affirming what you're saying.
Yeah.
And Juan, if you want to bring up slide number 10, probably, I think.
Yeah.
Like if I had a mission statement as an artist, it would be what you're talking about. Like I would like to try to help in some small way people to reorient their vision of the body so that we can understand, we can start to see for what it is and what it's meant to be and the beauty therein and change that pornographic view, because this is like, yeah, what I want to talk about even more. Like,
can I just say how proud I am that you're one of our students here at the Theology Institute, that you have taken up that flag. That just fills my heart with such joy. So thank you. Thank you for your yes to that. Thank you for your courage in wanting to do that. And thank you for going for it.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, definitely. I think that like right now, the culture, like the secular culture has a monopoly over the naked body.
Yep.
And I think it's up to us to play the game a little bit more. And so I think like there's a discussion to be had about the role of nudity in art and how to do it right. And this is what we're talking about. And I feel like, I mean, this one here in the Vatican is really cool.
Yeah, let's bring that up, Juan.
You mean, you taught me about this one in one of the
Yeah, I want to see how much you remember from what I taught you about this sculpture. This sculpture is, so I'll just frame it here. So in the nave of St. Peter's Basilica, up in the arches, I just saw this last week. I was in Rome and saw this. So if you're facing the high altar, this is about maybe, I don't know, a fourth of the way up the nave of St. Peter's to the left. And they have the virtues, the Christian virtues, carved in stone up in these arches. And this is the virtue of chastity. So what do you remember me teaching you about the meaning of this?
There's something to do with one of them being veiled and one being non-veiled. I can't remember what's in her right hand, the small thing.
Yeah, in her left hand is a rose.
A rose, yeah.
And in her right hand is the horn of a unicorn.
Yeah, the unicorn was something about wild force and going outness and masculinity.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Can we zoom in a little bit, Juan, or zoom
explain
out
it
so we
better.
can see both the flower and the unicorn? Let
Yeah.
me speak into this veiled and unveiled breast. So my goodness, we're thinking this is chastity?
Yeah.
How is this
I
chastity?
love that it's an allegory for that particular
Yeah.
virtue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Christian mystery is always one of veiling and unveiling the holy, veiling and unveiling the sacred, veiling and unveiling beauty. Both are essential to a proper understanding of the holy, the sacred, the beautiful. We veil the temple, right? The temple veil. That temple veil is a sign that what is behind this is so holy, we can't handle the glory, right? And so it needs to be veiled.
Yeah.
And yet, what happened when Christ died? And remember, he spoke of his own body as the temple.
Yeah.
And a sword is thrust into his heart, and he's split open, and the contents of his inmost being are spilled out. What happens in that moment? The temple veil is split, right? So here's this mystery right there of the veiling and the unveiling. The veil is required for us to recognize the holiness, the sacredness, and so we don't spoil it. But the end goal is that the veil would be opened, and having come through the veil to understand the holiness that's behind the veil, now when the veil gets opened, we can enter in without violating the mystery, right? So this is what's being depicted here in the female form. One breast is veiled, the other is unveiled. It's this recognition that in order to understand rightly the beauty of the body, it must be veiled so that we can come to understand the beauty of the body without spoiling it. But the end goal is to have it unveiled so we can enter in with purity of heart to the mystery without spoiling it, right? So that's what's going on here. And also in Catholic art, a nursing mother is the depiction of the virtue of charity. So there are many, many examples in St. Peter's Basilica of the virtue of charity. One I'm thinking of right to the right of the high altar in St. Peter's Basilica is a tomb of a pope, and above it is a woman. She's expressing the milk from her breasts, and that's the virtue of charity. There's several other depictions of a woman with a baby at the breast in St. Peter's. That's the image of charity. So what the church is saying here is that the mother giving her milk, which is what the breast is all about, it's not a pornographic reality, right? I always say to my students, the devil doesn't have his own clay. All the enemy can do is take God's good clay and twist it up, right? The proper portrayal of the human body in art, such as this, is an untwisting of that twisted clay to train our eye to see rightly and to lift our minds and hearts to the heavens. And so what we have at the center of the virtue of chastity is the virtue of charity, Christian love. And what does charity do? Do you remember this point from, how many years ago did you take the course in which I explained this?
Which one do you explain this in?
Probably TOB 1.
Okay, so like 8 years ago.
Okay, 8 years ago. So you're off the hook. So what she's doing here, we have in one hand, she's holding something feminine, and in the other hand, she's holding something masculine.
I do
So,
remember that. Yeah.
gee, which one here, Gabriel, would be the masculine imagery?
Well, my little sisters used to like unicorns, so I'm gonna go with unicorn as the feminine. No, I'm just kidding. That one I knew. It's not rocket science.
This is not rocket science, people. Thank you. That was a good joke. This is not rocket science, people. The unicorn is obviously a masculine symbol, and the flower is clearly a feminine symbol. And the unicorn also has a history here of being a symbol in Christian art of Christ, of true masculinity. But there's something, just like C.S. Lewis says of Aslan, he's not a tame lion, right?
Yeah.
There's a wildness in there. There's a wildness, and zoom out again, Juan. I want people to see the strength in that. Look at the leg of the unicorn, and look at the muscles in the neck. Like this animal is ready to go.
Yeah.
And there is this folklore, this kind of legend that grew out of the Christian tradition that only the pure maiden could direct those energies of the unicorn in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And if those energies of the unicorn do not get directed in the right way, the horn of the unicorn will kill you. It'll gore you and kill you. So this is a symbol of that wild energy of eros, of erotic desire, when it is not properly reverenced and directed. Look at how Charity, right? That's who the woman is in the middle. She's Christian love. Look at the gaze upon the unicorn. It's one of great reverence, right? It's not a disdain. It's not you're bad, you need to die, you're evil. It's one of reverence for the power and strength of the unicorn. And when, with love, we show proper reverence to the strength and power of erotic energy and desire, now the horn of the unicorn becomes a horn of salvation. Now let's zoom out again, Juan. So now, again, Charity in the middle. Look at the one in the that's her right hand holding the rose, her left hand holding the unicorn. Look at the trajectory of the unicorn and the rose. So what does love do? Love, that's Charity in the middle. Love properly unites the masculine and the feminine. And it's not only that male eros is the wild unicorn and female eros is the tender, delicate flower. No, there's always also meant to be, if we are to be pure, if we are to be chaste, each of us, whether you're male and female, needs to have that marriage of the masculine and the feminine within, of the unicorn and the flower within. And so within me, that's a big if my eros is rightly directed, it's going to have all the strength of that unicorn rightly directed and the delicacy and tenderness of that flower in union with it. It's called integration, right? And that integration has to happen within me for me to be chaste. This is how the Catholic Church wants the world to understand chastity. Now, sad thing is, with the crisis in Catholic education in the modern world, I went to Catholic schools my whole life and never heard any of that.
Yeah. So I want to get you to say something perhaps controversial. And you don't have to.
I have never said anything controversial in my life, Gabriel. So this would be the very first time.
Yeah. It'll only seem controversial, but this is proof that what we're talking about here is okay. This is St. Peter's Basilica.
This is what we're called to. This is what the church calls us all to.
So, like, I think it would be beneficial to anyone listening and myself to talk about like we've talked about the role of nude art in general, but like the role of nude art in churches, specifically. Yes. And the controversial thing is like, what do you think about that? And do you think that needs to be happening more?
Yeah.
And then that can lead us into this pretty fluidly.
Perfect. Yes, as everybody can see, we have a work of art back here that is veiled, and it makes exactly the point I'm making.
Yeah.
Right? We need the veil, and then when we are properly prepared in our hearts, we can have an unveiling without spoiling the mystery.
Yeah.
Right? So we are doing exactly here the very point.
Yeah.
And that very point that we start with the veil, we need the veil, because if we had just shown this work of art behind you right from the time we started the camera rolling, and we didn't have this conversation to prepare our hearts for the unveiling, it would have been, to many viewers, jarring. Those viewers who don't have the proper frame of reference for understanding the holiness of nakedness, right? When our frame for understanding the naked body is pornography rather than theology, rather than the revelation of the mystery of God through the body, when pornography is our frame, we end up projecting something pornographic even onto what is sacred and holy. For example, if somebody walks into the Sistine Chapel and starts to get, lustfully aroused,
Mm-hmm.
don't blame Michelangelo for that,
Mm-hmm.
right? The problem is not with Michelangelo. The problem is with what's going on in your own heart. And there's no need, as I often say, when you're experiencing those feelings, don't shame it, don't defame it, and don't blame it. Rename it, reclaim it, and re-aim it.
Mm-hmm.
What do I mean by that? Don't shame it. It's like, that's bad, that's dirty, that's wrong, that's evil. That's just shaming yourself. No, in the beginning, God looked at everything he made, including erotic desire, and said, behold, it's very good. Right? We don't experience victory of over our lustful desires by shaming them, nor by blaming them. You only get me in trouble. There's lust is bad, but sexual desire is not bad in itself. Lust is a distorted sexual desire. So you shouldn't blame your sexual desires for all of your problems, right? Don't shame it. Don't blame it. Reclaim it. Reframe it. Say, okay, I was made in the image and likeness of God. Something went wrong. My desires got skewed, got misdirected. But with God's grace, I can let God's grace into those, what I call inverted rocket engines. I let God's grace in there. And by the miracle of God's grace, by the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, my desires can be re-aimed. I rename it. It's holy eros. At its root, it's holy eros. At its root, there's always something good. Don't give the devil his own clay. So rename it. This is holy eros at its root. Reclaim it. God made me as a man, as a woman with desire that's been disordered by sin, but he's come into the world to redirect it towards all that is true, good, and beautiful. So I open it. I surrender it. I don't stuff it. I don't repress it. I open it up and I let God into it. And I say, Lord, by the power of your death and resurrection, I rename, this is holy eros, I reclaim, you gave me this desire to be the very power to love as you love, and by your grace, I re-aim it. I re-aim it in the direction of loving, right? Now, very few people, sad to say, go on that pilgrimage, right? And so we think the only two options with our desires are indulge it in a disordered way or repress it, right? And within those two, if those are our only two options, we don't know how to view the naked images in the Sistine Chapel rightly. We don't know how to view the naked images in the sculptures at St. Peter's rightly. And we end up projecting our own lustful ideas onto those images. What John Paul II is telling us in his Theology of the Body, there's another way to see. There's another way to think. There's another way to experience the human body if we are willing to go on that pilgrimage. Mm-hmm. And good art, sacred art that depicts the human body properly, just as you said, with the goal of revealing the dignity of the person, that the dignity of the image of God would shine forth. This can be a tremendous aid on our pilgrimage. So this brings up the delicate question of what is the role of naked art in churches? Yeah. Well, if you look at the history of Catholicism, you can scarcely go into a historic church in Europe where you will not see sacred art depicting the naked body. Why is it almost non-existent in churches in North America? Well, I'll tell you why. Yeah. Because we are steeped in North America in Puritanism, a fearful rejection of the body. And the question becomes pastorally, how do we meet people right where they are in this crippling, fearful approach to the body, this puritanical, spirit good, body bad, Puritanism really gives the devil his own clay. It just says, it's all bad. I give that to the devil, and I'm going to run over here and live a spiritual life. Well, you're dead if that's what you think Christianity is. You're literally, I mean, that's literally the definition of death, is the rupture of the body and the soul, right? Spiritual over here, physical over there. That's called death. Yeah. Right?
That's why ghosts are weird and corpses are weird.
This is what our horror movies are made of. Exactly. What you're doing through your art is you're trying to say, no, there's this other way to see. Yeah. We have to bring the spiritual and the physical together. This is what Christianity is in its very essence. It's the incarnation of the spiritual. It's the spiritual, the holy, the sacred, revealed, manifested in and through the body. As St. Paul says, to the pure, all things are pure. But to the impure, nothing is pure. Yeah. So therein lies the tension, right? To the pure, your art is pure. Mm. To the impure, your art is impure. It's not that your art is impure, but rather they are seeing it through the lens of their own impurity. And so they're going to project that impurity onto you. Remember I said, if you're in the Sistine Chapel and you are lustfully aroused by the naked figures in the Sistine Chapel, don't blame Michelangelo. The problem is not with Michelangelo. In fact, John Paul II, in the restoration project of the Sistine Chapel, ordered the removal of many of the loincloths that previous clerics had ordered to be painted over Michelangelo's original nudes. Yeah. JP2 says, take them off. And he says, take them off in the name of Christian purity. Because Michelangelo allowed himself, this is a direct quote from JP2, Michelangelo allowed himself to be guided by the evocative words of the book of Genesis, where we read that the man and his wife were both naked and felt no shame. And he says, when we view the human body through the eyes of God, we are able to unveil the body without, I forget the exact word, but it was something like without damaging its dignity. Right? But that takes a trained eye. That takes a crucified and resurrected heart. And not just once and done, but every day we have to enter into that battle of allowing our concupiscent or lustful desires to be crucified so that we can enter into that, to the pure, all things are pure, right? Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. So again, all that is necessary context to present my answer to your question. What is the role of nakedness in art in churches? Clearly, it is part and parcel of the Catholic tradition. Yeah. However, we have a pastoral nightmare on our hands, particularly in puritanical North America, where that's kind of the heritage here. Yeah. How do you get people from, ground zero in this understanding to a place where they can understand, for example, why did Michelangelo depict Christ naked on the cross? Yeah. Well, number one, because he was, right? Nakedness was part of the gruesome spectacle of Roman crucifixion.
We could pull that sculpture up
too.
Do
we have the Michelangelo image?
It's not in my slides, but if you just Google Michelangelo nude crucifix.
Yeah, Google Michelangelo nude crucifix.
I have it.
It's in Florence. If you type in Florence, it'll come up.
It's an amazing story, that crucifix.
Yeah,
I don't know, can you still hear me?
It's one of my favorite depictions of the crucifix because of its realism, and this is theologically critical, that the new Adam is reliving in his body all of the sin. Not that he commits it, but here it is.
Yeah, okay. That's good. The second picture there, it's kind of moody. That one's nice.
So he remember it, scripture says, he who knew not sin became sin. Yeah. Right? What Christ does not assume does not get redeemed. That is a beautiful depiction of it. So what Christ does not assume does not get redeemed. Right? What's the first impact of the fall in the book of Genesis? What do we read?
Naked without shame.
Well, that's before the fall. But the first,
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
I misheard.
is now nakedness with shame.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so what they're doing in
Yes.
the crucifixion, this is part of the gruesome spectacle, as I said, they are attempting to shame the victim of crucifixion by stripping them naked.
Yeah, it was all about mockery and pain and everything around that, but the mockery part was important. And so it's historically accurate. For one thing,
accurate.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons why the depicting the nude Christ can be valid, but
also here, what's happening is, remember, Scripture says Christ endured the cross heedless of its shame.
Yeah.
So he absorbs the shame. He takes it into himself. Why? To come out the other side naked without shame.
Mm-hmm.
And there it is. He's buried in a garden, and Scripture's very clear that his grave clothes were left behind.
Mm.
So what is this saying? It's saying, and saint after saint has commented on this, the profound parallel between the first Adam and the new Adam. Could you also bring up Google Michelangelo's Resurrected Christ? What
you'll have to find the version where they didn't cover.
Yeah, there's several. There's one. So here's Michelangelo's Resurrected Christ. So what's being said here? What's being said? Maybe you could. Can you bring up the two together? Can you put them in a split screen or something? What Michelangelo, as a brilliant artist and even with mystical insight into what Scripture is trying to convey, and saint after saint has drawn out this parallel between the first Adam coming out of the ground in a garden, naked without shame,
mm-hmm.
and the new Adam coming out of the ground in a garden. Mm-hmm. He was buried in a garden. Grave clothes are left behind, naked without shame.
Yeah.
So am I saying that when Mary Magdalene saw Jesus, he was naked? That's not what I'm saying. That's not even the point.
Mm-hmm.
The point is to draw out this parallel that what we have in the resurrection is a new creation, a new Adam, fully redeemed. He bore the nakedness with shame on the cross, but he comes out the other side naked without shame. And this nakedness without shame is absolutely critical. And his bearing the nakedness of shame on the cross is absolutely critical for us to be able to enter into a living of our humanity that is a reclaiming of God's original plan for us. And here again, I quote the Catechism, Christ came into the world to restore creation to the purity of its origins. JP2 says, in so many words, if we don't believe, if we don't believe it is possible to see the body rightly, well, we're guilty of what he calls the interpretation of suspicion. And he says this with all the realism that this is not some overnight victory. It's not some snap your fingers and say this prayer and you're all of a sudden going to be able to see the human body rightly. You said it well earlier when I asked you about your own approach as an artist. You said, well, I've been on a journey, right? It's not, you don't just send some 17-year-old boy into a naked figure drawing class without some preparation of his heart and formation. He's going to start projecting his own pornographic mindset onto this person standing in front of him. But it is possible to take up our cross every day and grow more and more in having sound eyes. If your eye is sound, then your whole body, and we can extend that, the bodies of others will be filled with light. And here I'll quote a modern mystic. Her cause, I believe, is up for beatification. Her name is Adrienne von Speyer.
You told me this quote before. I'm excited to hear it again.
Yeah, this is so insightful. She says, on the one hand, she acknowledges it's understandable in the modern world, and even in ages past, that we cover the crucified with a loincloth. She says it's understandable in the church's art. But she also laments when the church started covering the crucified with a loincloth, she says, It was the beginning of the church's refusal to see. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall refuse to see God. No. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. See God. Let us not refuse to see. And I think at this point, Gabriel, we're ready for the unveiling.
Sure.
I just want to say, before you unveil this,
Yeah.
when you shared with me your process in sculpting this, I was profoundly moved by your courage. And again, is this something that you could just put up in any church in America? Not right away, because you have to take the whole parish through a catechesis, and you have to send them on pilgrimage to enable them to see rightly. But isn't this what Catholicism is supposed to be? For crying out loud, if it's not the Catholic Church calling people on this pilgrimage that Christ himself calls us on, who's going to do it? Right? So holy art, sacred art can help us form and shape our minds and our hearts. The question becomes, the tension is, how do you introduce this in a culture that is so formed by pornography? That's a delicate matter. And I don't have the answer to that. But I'll tell this quick story, and then we'll unveil this. I heard the story years ago. I don't even remember who it was told me or what the origins of it were. But the story was of someone in the Holy Land, a man who visited what's called the Grotto of the Milk. And history has it, or the story, the legend, whatever, that when Mary was fleeing with Joseph and Jesus to Egypt, that the Holy Family stopped at this grotto, and Mary fed Christ at the breast, and some of her milk spilled on the rock. And to this day, there's this milky white liquid that flows out of the rock at the Grotto of the Milk outside of Jerusalem, or outside Nazareth, or Bethlehem, I forget where. I do remember visiting it. I just don't remember the geography of where it was. And this grown man was touring the Holy Land, and he went into the Grotto of the Milk, and there are depictions. This is part of the Catholic tradition. It's called Our Lady of La Leche. Yeah. Depictions all over this grotto of Mary feeding the Christ child and her milk spilling on the rock. And he saw these friars who run the grotto walking around, seeing all these depictions of Our Lady of La Leche with Mary's breast exposed, and there's the Christ child. And none of these friars were having any trouble, but he found himself deeply conflicted inside, because his only frame for understanding the breast, tragically, was pornography. And he's understandably in that frame, he found himself very uncomfortable. Nonetheless, it began his pilgrimage into purity, because he realized, if these friars here are not having a problem with this, maybe the problem's with me. And maybe I shouldn't be censoring this sacred art. Maybe I should be seeking purification of my own heart so that I could come to see rightly. Because the good news of the gospel is this, that what Satan has pornified, Christ has purified so that it can be glorified. That's the pilgrimage we all have to go on. From the pornification through the purification to the glorification of the body. And good art like yours, Gabriel, can help us on that journey. So, with that said,
I'll just take this off, and then before that's enough. So this is a sculpture that I brought in today to have here in studio. It's always better seeing art in person.
Yes. You showed me a picture of this, and now to see it in person, I'll tell you immediately what just stirs in my heart is the scripture, Ecce homo.
Yeah.
Behold the man.
Yeah.
Behold the man.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you want me to?
Unfold whatever you want to unfold for us.
I'll start basic and then we can go higher.
Yeah.
So I'll just say the sculpture, was made last year. I was working with another artist at the time named Andrew Smith, and we made this as a collaborative effort. So I sculpted it like, I put the clay up, and poured my heart and soul into it. And then also through a series of conversations, and creative collaboration, we made this piece. So, my corpus is, you'll notice it's just the corpus of Christ. Probably the first thing that jumps out is,
Where's the cross?
where's the cross? Elephant in the room. This is an artistic choice, and I'm willing to listen, hear out different opinions. Far be it from me to do anything with my work that's somehow damaging to the faithful or heretical in some way.
This is not heretical.
Okay, that's good. At least,
this is not heretical. When you'd explained it to me when we had that call a couple months ago, I did, when I first saw it, I thought, that's an interesting choice, and I thought it was just incomplete.
Yeah.
But this is what you're saying is this is not incomplete. This is what you're intending.
Yeah. So this is the finished work of art. It is the body of Christ stripped of all other beautiful symbols, but other things that are not his flesh. So,
no nails.
There's no nails
and
in the hands.
No crown of thorns.
There's no crown of thorns, and notably, there's no loincloth. So I would say, like, in terms of the creative process, it started out as a desire to just make a nice crucifix, and it sort of became, again, over a process of conversation and creative development. Art is it's a process.
Yes,
like this.
yes.
I wanted to do I wanted to do a naked crucifix, a naked Christ. I've seen that one of Michelangelo in Florence, and I had just taken the TOB2 course last year with you, and so that was a desire. And I don't know, it just developed like, we'll leave this out, we'll leave the crown out, we'll leave this out. And then I had the idea of leaving out the cross, and it just eventually appeared to both me and my, the other sculptor I was working with, that like, this is a statement, this is an image.
Yeah.
And the point is to have a work of art that's like a strict meditation on the body of Christ,
Is that what it's called? What is the name of this work? Do you have a name for it?
I just call it corpus.
Corpus.
Yeah.
The body.
The body.
The body of Christ.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So the idea of having no nails, no crown of thorns, clearly he's in cruciform.
Yeah.
But no nails, no crown of thorns, no loincloth, is not only the absence of the loincloth is not only the historical accuracy, but is your goal, I'll put it as a question, is your goal to help me, the viewer, stare directly at the reality of the incarnation? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I mean, it's very important that like we know that Christ was human and that Christ was a man. And, there's all sorts of heresies that have evolved over the years.
Yes.
One of them being this idea that Christ was not human.
Right.
There's probably tons of permutations of it.
Yeah.
You'd probably know more about that than me. But I think that depictions of the nude Christ tend to stem. I think this is something Andrew said, but I don't know. I couldn't give you dates, but I think they tend to grow out more popularly when there are times of theological disorder going on.
Yes.
So correct, like the art can respond to these questions of theology.
Yes.
And so when there's questions of his divinity, you'll have works of art that show Christ as divine. And when there are questions of his humanity, you'll have works of art that stress his humanity. And so in terms of like the symbols of the passion, the nails, the cross, the crown of thorns, these are all extremely important symbols. And the intention here is not in any way to take away from those symbols.
But you're making an artistic choice to emphasize a certain aspect
Mm.
that we desperately need to
Exactly.
be emphasized in
Yeah.
an era where we have lost sight of it,
Yeah, exactly.
which is the true. I mean, we say it every time we say the creed. I believe he was born of the Virgin Mary, right? But I think the incarnation, the doctrine of the incarnation, is one of the least appreciated doctrines of our faith in our day today. And it is the most essential.
Mhm.
No incarnation, there's no Christianity.
Yeah.
And I remember it was 5-6 years ago, a Muslim tweeted out during the Christmas season something that I was like, good for you. Like, most Christians are not as honest as you're being about the utter scandal of the incarnation. And he said,
Mhm.
this was a Muslim, he said, imagine believing that God Almighty was born of a woman, right? Passed through her body, had to be fed at her breast, and urinated and defecated on himself. He says, I cannot accept this, right? And he says, praise be Allah above all of these lies, right? And I was like, good on you, buddy. Good on you for wrestling. That's exactly what we're saying,
Yeah.
right? And this goes back to Adrian von Speyer saying, when we covered the crucified with a loincloth, it was the beginning of the church's refusal to see. To see what? To see the full implications of the incarnation, right? This confronts me specifically and particularly as a man. This image compels me to reevaluate my own understanding of my body and to recognize it as something not only holy, but salvific. Right? The theological significance of Christ's masculinity cannot be overstated. Right? What does Jesus say? If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Right? It is the male body designed by God. Not that God the Father is male, right? God the Father is not male. Male is a biological term, right? God's fatherhood, as we said way back earlier in our conversation, God's fatherhood, his generation of the Son, is purely spiritual. He is Father, but he's not male in the sense of something biological, right? God the Father is pure spirit. But for the revelation of God the Father to happen in the flesh, it happens through a male body born of a woman, right? Mary's body plays an absolute role in revealing the fatherhood of God, but in what manner? By conceiving the Son. And it is absolutely theologically critical. And we can't refuse to see this. That's Adrian von Speyer's point. We can't refuse to see that he's male. And that he, to quote St. Augustine, that he was complete in all the parts of a man. Right? This was proof of the incarnation. In fact, in an early artistic tradition, I don't know if you're aware of this, you'll still see this on Christmas cards, but it's usually censored. And you don't know, why are the three wise men stooping down and looking at the Christ child, right there? Well, what they're looking at is his loins. And this was proof that if he had loins and if he was God, then God really took flesh. Because there's nothing more fleshly about our flesh than our loins, right? And Jesus himself says, make sure every part of your body comes into the light. Make sure every part of your body comes into the light, and make sure no part of your body remains in darkness. Right? Those are the words of the Lord. And then we have St. Paul saying, those parts of your body that you think are less honorable, these are the parts of the body that deserve all the greater honor, because these are the parts of the body upon which God has bestowed the greater glory. Now, I know I said it earlier, I'll say it again. We've been saying this in many ways throughout our conversation, that we have to be invited on a pilgrimage to enter into that. We can't just unveil that right at the start of the show, right? We have to take people on that pilgrimage. And so the question of what is the role of art like this in our churches? Again, Europe is an example. This was part of the culture, right? It was very normal pre-Reformation that every church, most churches, I don't know if we can say every, but it was certainly so much a part of the Catholic culture that it was in the blood to have an image of Our Lady of La Leche in the home or at the local parish. Images of the naked Christ were more common. The Reformation brought, among many other things, brought with it a distancing from the body. Right? The very act of Luther leaving the church was an act of distancing himself from the body of Christ. The church is the body of Christ. When you leave the body of Christ, that's going to be reflected in your theology. And that's why we lose sense of the mother of Christ, the mother of God. We lose sense of the incarnation. We lose sense of the sacraments. Whenever we lose sight, whenever we cover it all over and refuse to see the mystery in its fullness of the incarnation, again, we need to approach it in stages, and we need to grow in purity and all of that stuff. But to refuse to see, just to simply say, cover that up, that's sinful. Nothing of Christ is sinful. We need to be invited on that pilgrimage to behold the glory of God revealed through the masculinity of Christ. And that's what you're trying to help us do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's all really well put and very important. One thing that we talked about before in a conversation too, which would be fun to do here, is with the piece here. Like crucifixes, they're on a cross and they're typically on a wall. And so as a sculptor,
yes, please. I remember this now.
Yeah. As a sculptor, this is my craft. Like I usually tend to design my work to be viewed 360 in the round. And you can do a relief sculpture. You could do a sculpture that kind of favors one view, but I really like designing things that work in the round. And I was thinking about this with the crucifixion, is that you never are able to see Christ's body from all angles.
Right.
And I think that one cool thing that happens when you display the body in such a way is that you actually get more access to his body.
Yeah.
And I just thought it's a little heavy. I don't know.
Yeah,
if
do
I
whatever
can
you
just
need to do to get
spin it around here. Is this still in frame? And so in terms of design too, as a draftsman, if I'm drawing, I'm thinking consciously about how this looks from an angle.
Even as you just turned it a little bit, and I see it from a different angle.
Yeah.
Right there, that's a different meditation for me. Right? For me to take that image to prayer from that angle is it's a different vision for me.
Do you want me to move it closer to the frame?
Yeah, look at that.
There you go. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Just for framing purposes.
Yes, right.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that for me too, like there's a lot that happens when you move around the thing. Just keep going.
Yeah, keep going. I remember as a boy, my mom got me this crucifix that I really liked. It was like my first crucifix that I ever had for my own bedroom. But the way it was sculpted or carved, I could see, I'd turn it around, and his whole backside was just flat,
Yeah.
Because they didn't really need to do anything back there because it's against the wood. But this again helps us to meditate on the fullness of the truth of the incarnation. His body reveals the mystery. And this is thesis statement of John Paul II's Theology of the Body. He says the body, and only the body, is capable of making visible what is invisible, the spiritual and the divine.
Yeah.
It was created by God to transfer into the visible reality of the world the mystery hidden in God for eternity, and thus to be a sign of it. And what is that mystery hidden in God for eternity? Precisely the generation of the Son by the Father to share in the Spirit. Blessed are the pure in heart, for this is what we see. This is what we see when we see at all angles the naked Christ. We see the revelation of the mystery of the Father and his love, the mystery of the Trinity through the body. And this is why the enemy's after the body, folks. This is why the enemy wants to pornify the body so that we are blind to the mystery of God revealed in the flesh.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's why.
Tell me about, like, I see kind of
Yeah.
a cavity in his back. What am I?
Here?
Yeah.
Well, I think I forgot a muscle. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I was giving sort of a lot of emphasis on the latissimus dorsi muscle here, and maybe a lot of emphasis on the scapula bone, and maybe, I mean, the trapezoid. I'm just speaking technically.
Sure,
I don't know.
sure.
It's not supposed to look like he's got a dent in his body.
Right.
But I liked the way that the lat kind of framed that here. Yeah, creates a nice contour. I don't know.
Yeah, I can imagine some of our viewers like, oh gosh, I've never seen the buttocks of Jesus. I don't know what to do with that. And
Yeah, that was hard to sculpt. I didn't really have a lot of reference to go off of.
Did you not have a model for this?
Well, I used a little bit of a model, but I mostly, it's interesting actually, that's kind of could be nice to talk about. I typically sculpt with models. For this, I had a friend who had like a good enough body type, just like model for maybe 5 minutes at a time every so often. But for the most part, I didn't use models for this, and I looked at other references, like other sculptures, so like the Michelangelo sculpture,
Yeah.
Brunelleschi, I think, also, or Donatello. They both also have nude crucifixes. Then I have a knowledge of anatomy because my training at the school that I graduated from in Florence, Italy, we have a requirement to like really delve into anatomy. So working a lot with that, and I was just working with like what I wanted the piece to look like, and like I said before, the other sculptor I was working with here, you know, through our conversations, had a lot of input on the particular design. In various aspects. But anyway, so just working a lot on imagination and informed decision making by working with models for a long time. I have sort of like an index of shapes built up in my head, like a portfolio
Yes.
of how things look when they're in different positions. And then I'll bring it back to the front, sort of to cap this off, what I'm talking about here. For the portrait in particular, which maybe it's a little hard to see, I'm not sure. But for the portrait, I looked at the Shroud of Turin.
Oh.
Yeah, I had that up, and I was working with his proportions. So like the Shroud of Turin's got kind of a long face,
Yes,
proportionally speaking.
And that's what you modeled this after?
Yeah. So just working by eye, but
I see that now that you say it. I can see the resemblance.
yeah. And I was looking at mainly the Shroud of Turin, and then a couple other like paintings of crucifixes that I like. And then, you know, we have this over the course of art history, we have this general sense of what Jesus looked like, and there's a continuity there, which I think is quite remarkable. And even like if you look at like Greek icons, Russian icons, Western European art, there's this continuity surrounding like how Jesus looked, and it all kind of matches up with the Shroud of Turin, which is, I mean, to me, it's just like it's kind of an amazing thing. So I just wanted this piece to exist within that tradition of what Jesus looks like, you know.
I'm thinking.
No models at all, just purely that.
So that came from. I think it's safe to say it came from your prayer.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I tried to. I think, you know, I obviously pray about my work, and I have like a, you know, prayer life. Not always do I begin the workday with the prayer. You know, maybe I should probably, but
Well, you know what?
for this one in particular, every day that I was embarking on the labor, I would say an Our Father.
You would make a particular
Yeah.
point to pray.
Yeah.
I would invite you just to consider not obviously saying the prayers are that's a beautiful approach, but as JP2 says, everything can become a prayer.
Mhm.
Your very sculpting of this was a prayer, because prayer is the opening of your heart to God with all that's in there. And if you're making art, what's happening in art is you're expressing something from your heart. And that itself, placed in the hands of the Lord, opening your heart and putting the contents of your heart in the hands of the Lord, that's prayer. And I would link that to what I wanted to say to our viewers who might be really struggling with this. Like, we're not trained to see this rightly. But the invitation to all of us is to not be afraid of sharing the contents of your heart with the Lord. Meaning, maybe it goes like this. Maybe it's, Lord, I don't even know where to place this. Your naked body, how do I even make sense out of that? Because my frame here, Lord, is just something pornographic. And I know your body's holy and sacred, but I don't know how to get from the pornified to the glorified. And that really is the battle. Like, Satan's diabolic fury over God's plan to glorify the human body is why we have the pornified version of the body. The pornification of the body is Satan's diabolic fury aimed at God's plan of the glorification of the body. That's what it is. Scripture says that Satan fell out of envy. Well, guess what? Lucifer is an angel. What do we have that he doesn't have?
Sense of humor, probably.
Yes, but what else? What do human beings have? That
body,
right? What does
Got
he
it.
envy? He
Second try.
hates that our bodies are destined to be glorified. That's why his goal is to just pornify it.
Yeah.
Right? How do you get from the pornified body to the glorified body? Only through purification. We go from pornification through purification unto glorification. And that demands honest prayer, where we, if I may put a symbol to it, we open our hearts, we open them up and say, this is what's really going on in me, Lord, right now. I have all this, what I've come to call pornographic interference, where I know conceptually this is holy and sacred because it's Jesus. I know conceptually it's holy and sacred, but I don't experience it that way because what's in my heart is all kinds of diseased images and ideas of the human body. Well, this has been my experience, that the Lord wants to take us back to what deformed us in our imagination, to reform us in our imagination. And that means going back to very sometimes painful memories where those pornographic lies got in there. I was 6 years old. I'm walking to my grandmother's house. She lived a few blocks away from me. And there in the middle of the street is a stack of magazine pictures. I'm like, oh, totally innocently, what's that? And I pick it up, pornographic images. And that was my first kind of ingraining in my mind of a pornographic portrayal of the body. Well, I've had to go back to that memory and bring Jesus into it and say, Jesus, untwist what sin's taken something holy and twisted it up. Come into that twisted, diseased image, Jesus, and untwist it. And that's those are the painful purifications that we have to go through to go on that pilgrimage from pornification to glorification. And I'm a 55-year-old man, and from the age of 6 to the age of 20, I was exposed to a lot of pornography. And this is long before the internet. Yeah. If I had been a teenager in the age of the internet, I would have been taken out. As a 55-year-old man, I've spent a lot of my adult life through wise spiritual direction, bringing Jesus into these memories and letting him untwist what sin is twisted. And that pilgrimage, I still got a long way to go. Nobody can ever say I've arrived, but I've come a long way. And if I hadn't gone on that pilgrimage, I wouldn't know what to do with this. So I want to say to everybody out there, it is possible. It is possible to go on the pilgrimage that allows us to see the glory of God revealed through the human body. And good art, how do we overcome? What is pornography? It's bad art. That's what it is. Well, how do you overcome evil? You overcome evil not by yelling at it. You overcome the darkness not by yelling at it. You got to turn on a light, right? And Gabriel, this is what you're doing. You're trying to turn the lights on to help others come to see what, by God's grace, you have come to see. And I want to say thank you for going on that pilgrimage yourself so that you can, in turn, inspire others to go on that pilgrimage themselves. And I'm a champion of what you're doing. And I want our viewers to know where they can learn more about you and the art that you're working on. And do you sell your pieces? If someone were inspired to want to have this in their home or their private chapel, or if there was a brave priest who said, I want to do a catechesis in my parish and help people understand the authentic Catholic tradition behind this, how is this purchasable?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, thank you, just by the way, for being such a support.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have really so much of the foundational framework to go about doing this. I wouldn't have even never wanted to do this, thought about wanting to do this without, the work that's done here. So, I have a website. I have an Instagram account.
Juan, you can put all that up, right?
Yeah.
That'll be in the description of the video.
Yeah. This is, it's a project born of authentic desire to want to make something beautiful. And for artists, you need to also eat food to survive.
Yes.
I don't know if other career paths you need to do that, but for artists, we really like to eat. So anyways, I don't know. I'm just saying, it can be tough sometimes. I'm selling my work. We didn't get through all the slides that we had here today, which is totally fine. But if you want to see,
we have time. We have to go because the course is just about to start.
I'm
that you're
very
in
excited.
Town for.
Yeah.
But if there's time before you leave, when do you leave?
With the shuttle on Friday.
With the shuttle on Friday, there might be an opportunity to do a part 2 somewhere, but there might not. Well, we'll see if we can do it. I would love to have you back for part 2 because we've only shown 2 of your works of art, and you have so much else to share.
I'll just say this real quick. Like, I have a website, GabrielAkre.com, my Instagram, Gabriel Akre Art. But also, like, what is it? Yeah, I have a lot of ideas for future works. And so you can buy works that I've already made. You can commission works, like if you have an idea for something that you want. You can commission something.
Beautiful.
But also, if you want to be like the coolest patron in the world, the coolest thing you can do is to just give me money to make what I want to make.
I laugh because I know what it's like to be in that position where you need the support of those who believe in what you're doing to do what you're doing. And I'm going to make this pledge to you, Gabriel, in front of our entire YouTube audience.
Okay.
We have a foundation called the St. John Paul II Legacy Foundation.
Yeah.
And our goal is to raise an endowment that will enable us to fund people who have given their lives to spreading theology of the body. And we have
Yeah.
a particular love of artists.
Yeah.
We want to see artists like you
Yeah.
flourish.
Well,
So when the money,
Yeah.
and I'm saying when,
sure.
because I do believe it's coming. I do believe it's coming. And we'll put the link to the JP2 Legacy Foundation below. In fact, I'm just going to say this right now. If you want to make a pledge to Gabriel and you want to make it to the JP2 Legacy Foundation, just earmark your pledge when you make it to the foundation, and we will make sure 100% of what you contributed gets to Gabriel. That's my pledge. But my further pledge, Gabriel, is this. When we have the funds, when that endowment is built, and I'm saying when because I have faith that it's coming, you are exactly the kind of person we want to sponsor so that you can give your life to doing this work. When the money comes, we want to support you to be able to give your life to this. That's my pledge to you.
Wow. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. That's how much I believe in what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, with the Legacy Foundation too, is it 6 o'clock already?
It's almost time. Like we have 7 minutes to get over there for me to greet the students.
I'll just say this too, just for them to know, like we haven't figured out exactly what this is going to look like yet, but I've offered to provide some kind of an art piece for the JP2 Legacy Foundation. So the idea right now, it's workshopping, is that if you donate like a good sum of money to their foundation, like I can't donate money because I don't have money, but I can donate my work.
Your work,
and so like we're gonna design a sculpture together, and it'll be some size, and it'll be very cool, and it'll be very 2B. We don't know what it is yet, because I have some figured
ideas.
it out.
I have some ideas.
But you can potentially get like a gift. This is just the idea.
Yeah,
don't hold us to this.
I think it's going to come to fruition.
Okay.
So in the future, when people make pledges of X amount, part of our thank you to our donors will be one of your works of art.
Yeah, like if you want it, it's sort of like a Kickstarter gift. But that's just an idea. Don't hold us to anything. We're figuring it out.
Gabriel,
anyways.
You are a beautiful, beautiful man. And I thank you for your beautiful, beautiful yes to the God who is beauty, who is inspiring you to make such beauty with your gift of art. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.